What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today we're talking about note-taking. More specifically, we're talking about the Everlast Notebook by a company called ROCKETBOOK, and they claim to make notebooks from the future. You might know them from other notebooks, for example, that you can microwave. Everlast obviously is part of the name because it is supposed to be an everlasting notebook, which we'll get to in a second. It comes in two sizes, the smaller one and the bigger version. As you can see, this one is still in the packaging. Now this was a Kickstarter project that I backed, so I'm not sure if this is the final packaging or not. If it is, I think it's quite a disaster. It is just a piece of cardboard with some plastic around it, and that's it. So that is really not very good looking at all. Inside you do get a little card with some tips and tricks on how to use it, but that's really all you get. So I hope that the final packaging, when you purchase it from their website, is actually nicer than this, because, you know, it doesn't look like much, to be honest. Now, since this one is out of the packaging, let's have a closer look at what is what. Not much to see on the outside. You get a flexible plastic front and sort of a hard plastic back. Both will attract a lot of sweaty palms, and especially the front, hope you can see it on camera, will attract a lot of smudges and fingerprints, and it also attracts quite a lot of dust actually. Not very nice, but it looks kind of stylish, I think, with the green here and there. The rings here on the side are nice and tough. Some paper notebooks, especially the cheaper ones, have sort of very thin plastic rings that get crushed in your bag and you can't turn the pages anymore. But these are nice and solid, so that's actually quite nice. Now, there might not be so much to see on the outside of the notebook, which, you know, in the end is just a notebook. But what is on the inside really matters. The inside is complemented by this pen. This is a Pilot Frixion pen, and that's the only pen you can use with this notebook. The reason for that is that this pen is erasable in combination with the type of material used on the inside. So you have to be aware that this is the only pen you can use. This is the black version, but it comes in a bunch of colors, of course. And you can also use the Frixion highlighters. But if you use a normal ballpoint pen, you'll make permanent marks on the pages and you can't reuse them again. And then it is certainly not an everlasting notebook anymore. Now, when we open the notebook up, obviously just white pages like you would expect. No lines here, but I hope you can see it on camera. It's hard to tell. But there is dots all over the page, which is of course to guide the app that this notebook comes with. Also the QR code here, and on the bottom there are a bunch of symbols that we'll get to in a minute. It's not paper, but it's more of like a plastic version of paper, but it looks and feels a lot like paper. When you write on it with the Frixion pen, it is just like any other note-taking. You can write, you can draw, you know, really anything that you would normally do in a notebook. But the beauty is, since this is the everlasting notebook, that if you take a damp cloth, you can just clean the page and start over again. Just like that. So you really have an infinite notebook as long as you use the Frixion pen and keep wiping the pages clean. So that's very good, and that actually makes this potentially the last notebook you'll ever buy, providing it'll last you for a lifetime. Now, there's a few more things you can do with this. Like I said, it comes with an app that scans obviously the QR code, which corresponds to the page number. And the beauty is that the symbols underneath here, you can link those symbols to a certain cloud service that you're using. Think Google Drive, Evernote, Dropbox, and so on. So you can make your notes just like you normally would, but by circling or crossing one of the symbols here that you've obviously linked to your desired cloud service, you can instantly take your phone, take a picture of the page, and send it to a specific file in Dropbox, or send it to a specific file in Google Drive, for example. Which is super handy, because that really bridges the gap between the offline notebook and your online saved notebooks. For example, really handy when you're doing classwork or group work. You can just save it in a shared folder with just a click of your phone. It's not super unique, I'd say, because you know, you can get an Evernote Moleskine notebook, for example, that does something very similar. But that is not reusable paper, which it is in this case. It does take a little bit to set up, especially you know, when you use several cloud services, you have to go into the app, put in your passwords and so on to make sure it all works. That's something you might not be comfortable with, that you know, a relatively unknown company, I'd say, like ROCKETBOOK, has all your passwords. But you know, besides that, it works pretty well. You can save it either as a JPEG or PDF. So you know, that way you are saving your files. It doesn't mean that they're searchable right away, but at least you have the page itself. So what do we make of this notebook? Is it indeed an everlasting notebook? I'd say so. I really think this is a very nice bridge between the offline and the online version of note-taking. Because let's face it, all the online systems, even as good as Evernote, they can't compare to scribbling and writing on a page. You know, making notes, quickly jotting something down, quickly drawing something, correcting things. You just can't do that with a keyboard, and not even with something like an iPad, where you just don't have the response on the screen like you have on a physical thing like this. So in terms of what it does and how note-taking is in a sort of very natural way, I think this definitely does the trick. I like that the pages are reusable. That really makes it potentially the last notebook you'll buy. Like I said, providing it lasts long. But if you take reasonable care of it, that's pretty good. Personally, I don't find this too innovative, because like I said, Evernote has a similar system with the Moleskine notebook. But it is very handy, and especially when you're doing several projects at the same time, you could just send your stuff right away, and that makes it super easy. The app itself was also pretty easy. I'm not going to do a full demo here, but it's just pretty much click and go. And I'm sure they'll expand the features in the future with searchable PDFs and so on. So that would be nice as well. All in all, I think this is a pretty good take on a notebook that bridges the gap between offline and online. I think it looks pretty stylish. If they could do something about the cover, that would be nice, I think, and the packaging, of course. Like I said in the beginning, if that's the final packaging, they should definitely do something about that too. Other than that, pretty good notebook. I like it, and this is something that I'll use, in the future for taking all my notes. This is Peter from Reviews on Anything with a look at the Everlast Notebook from ROCKETBOok. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!